All right. Receiving. I want to talk with you about receiving. How can you receive better? What gets in the way of you receiving in good things? How can we get you a little bit less resistant to abundance and the better things in life? So the first aspect of receiving that I think it's important for us to discuss is that we can turn things into a zero-sum game. If you've been listening to me for a while, you'll know I talk about this a lot. And you may hear my precious boys in the background today. You're going to get some of that kid energy. So just warning you that now. But a lot of times with receiving, we can have resistance to it because we have this sort of calculation in our minds that when someone gains something, then someone else is losing out, right? So if we gain, then someone else must have to lose for that to happen. So we turn things into a zero-sum game when that's really not how it works. Like, we're not taking something away because we let in something good into our lives. When someone offers us, some of their time or some of their effort or a gift or a compliment, or an act of service, it can be really easy to think, oh no, like I don't want to, they can't do that for me. Like that's going to be too much. Like, I should be giving to them. We can just get all twisted up and get our panties all in a bunch when someone's trying to just do something kind for us or when someone's trying to serve us in some way. And the thing is, if you never let anyone serve you, like you always have to be the one serving somebody else or doing good for somebody else, you're creating like this closed system, right? You're closed off from energy flowing towards you. And when I say energy, I mean love, I mean kindness, respect, admiration, outpouring, any of that. You're kind of blocking off the pathway for people to give to you, but you're saying to them like, but you should have, your pathway open for what I have to give, right? So it's pretty skewed. And, I understand that most of us, when we do that, because I do that too, it's not because we're trying to be unkind or we're trying to be like, you take what I give, but I'm not going to take what you give. We're not doing that consciously, but I want you to shift and take in that might be a perspective that could help you out. That's what you're doing, practically speaking, right? You're closing yourself off even as you're asking other people to stay open to what you would like to give to them and how you would like to serve to them. And that's a pretty wonky way to go about it, right? Our gain does not equal someone else's loss. And I wanted to give you a concrete example of how this is true. So if you look at studies that have looked into what happens in a community when women are able to have access to more financial means, they're able to, grow their income, grow their wealth. There's a much more direct relationship, and I am being biased here towards women, but there is a more direct relationship between the impact that you see on the community at large. And this tends to happen mostly through the children and the community, but really it's just, everyone, like whether you have biological children or you're an auntie, like, how it is, right? Like we're usually investing into somebody. And so there's this effect where things are multiplied, when women have more wealth, more income, the kids eat better, the kids have better, clothing, better access to activities, better education, they do better in school. Like there's just all these different things that happen when there's more abundance in the hands of women. And so I just want to give that as a concrete example of how it works, where it's not like, those women should be, oh no, don't give it to me. That someone else needs it more. Yeah, that's true. Someone else you could always argue that. But the fact is, like, what we are grateful for and what we allow in, we see those things multiply. We see them have great positive effects for us because we need things too. And then also for those around us that we are impacting or that we're influencing or taking care of in some way. So, next thing. The next perspective shift I want to offer you, if you struggle with being able to soften into receiving, is I want you to think about the legacy that you are leaving for the next generation. And I'm going to say again, it doesn't matter if you've had actual babies yourself or not. There's an exchange that happens for those of us who are on this earth now, between us and those who came before. There are effects that we suffer from now because of those who came before, and there are things that we benefit from because of those who came before. So please don't take yourself out of this equation. If you are, single, or you're single by choice, childless by choice, it doesn't matter. The fact is, the legacy that we have is beyond even whether or not we have children per se. But this legacy is really important because even as, again, we see the effects of positive legacies and negative legacies that you and I have already inherited in this generation, what are the things that we can leave to the next generation that will be for their greater benefit, for their greater well-being, and the ability to enjoy their life and feel like they can have control and have some joy and have some peace in their life? So think about how this could trickle down, right? So what if you practicing and softening into receiving and doing that really intentionally, allowing yourself to take in good things from other people, that from just the world around you, things that just happen sort of in unexplained ways. What if you learning how to do that more and more actually made it easier for the next generation to do that even more easily, with even less resistance than you experienced? What if they had an easier time with receiving because of what all the practice that you put into this, into learning this yourself, and to unlearning what you needed to unlearn? What if their nervous systems had an easier time feeling regulated? What if they had an easier time just flourishing in their life because of all the practice that you put in now that benefited you now, but also then left that legacy that made it so much more just sort of matter of a fact, right? That made it just so much more automatic for them to live in that way where they were able to receive easily and where they found it really natural to take in good things. What if they found it really natural to find wonderful, loving partners who were kind to them and treated them like they meant the world? What if that was just easy for them? I don't know about you, but that wasn't easy for me. So, wow, what if I could teach not just my boys to love really generously and also to receive generous love, but also all the people I have influence over, right? All the people who are, younger than me, who come after me. What if I made it easier for them? Wouldn't the world be just a little bit brighter if we could do something like that? Maybe you can. The third perspective I want to leave you with, to help you with softening into receiving a little more easily. Okay, day by day, this is all just daily practice, as well as major mindset shifts, and I'll talk about that at the end, that you can achieve a little bit faster. But think about the way that children are with receiving. Children they're not uncomfortable with receiving. They don't have no discomfort about it. If they do, if you can think of examples immediately, you're like, well, this one kid, it's only because they've been taught that. Children are not born struggling to receive things from people around them. In fact, they demand it. They very much demand that you give them the good things and you give it now, right? They adjust easily to good things. They have no problem asking for what they need. And they'll ask even when the ask is super inconvenient and it makes no sense. The things my 4-year-old asks his father to do on a daily basis, that literally, I'm like, wow, are you kidding? Why would you think that's possible? But he does, right? To him, it's like, of course it's possible. I want it, so it must be possible. So it's very natural, just from watching children, it's very natural for us to take in the things that we want. It's very natural for us to say what we want. The resistance that we have now, it's what we grew into. It's what we learned. It's just another example of things that we need to unlearn as adults. And that's just letting go of those experiences that taught us that it's difficult to ask. It's difficult to want and to let our wants be known. And that we at all times and all circumstances, we need to be the ones who are giving something away to somebody else. That's the only way that's appropriate or right. And And we can have even a lot of spiritual notions tied into that too. The truth is, in almost any faith that you may practice or that you may know someone who practices, if you weren't able to receive in good things that were, say, undeserved, you wouldn't really be able to participate in that faith. So just something to think about. Anyway, these are 3 ways to kind of help shift your thinking a bit when it comes to getting more comfortable, right? Taking down some of that resistance when it comes to receiving good things. These are things you can tell yourself. You can create your own mantras for the things that I discussed today. Go back and listen again and you know, whatever hit you, write that down. Like, put it into a one-liner, write it down for yourself. And just repeat it to yourself when you find yourself making it hard again, when you find yourself pushing away the good stuff and practicing the opposite of what we're talking about today. You want to practice letting it in. You want to practice letting it be as good as it can get. And when you do that and you're grateful for what is happening and what you are, allowing yourself to accept as good and right and healthy and natural, it only means that you're going to flourish more. It only means that you're going to be a more generous person. It only means you're going to send more love out into the world. And we all know that it needs it. So if you want help with being able to shift in the way that you think about these things more quickly, because you're trying to do it, with your effort, and the effort doesn't seem to be producing what you want it to produce, make sure that you do check out my program, the Self-Love Skills course. You can find the link below in the description, and it's going to help you get there a lot more quickly than just sort of like elbow grease. So I suggest that you check that out, and I'll be back to talk with you soon. Bye.